Hi there, welcome back. Right, today I thought we'd do a little experiment. And what it is can you or could you afford to live on the UK New State Pension, which in April it'll be £241.30 a week, £12,447 a year, or £1,045.63 a month. Now, when we was kids, my age, 50s and 60s, I was born in 1957, but in the 50s and 60s, when we was born and we went to school, we wasn't told about workplace pensions. We wasn't told about any other extra pensions we should get, because my mum and dad always says to me, the UK pension is enough to live on, but those are days gone past, and those now would be silly talking. So what I've done is I thought we'd do a little experiment, which is, could you afford to live in the Philippines now on the UK state pension? Now let's take into consideration that the Philippine peso at the moment is on a low against the pound and the dollar, and you're actually getting 80 pesos to the pound. So 1,045.63 would get you around about 88,000 peso, which is it's not bad. I mean, that is a good little bit of money. But could you live on it? What I'm going to say is, before you did come here, or if you did thinking of coming here to retire, because I can't blame you, because the weather's better, the people are nicer, you're not getting all the troubles that you're getting back home, and it's just a much nicer place to live. Now, there's some things you've got to take into consideration. Is if you do move out here and you want to get a condo or something, you've got to bring money to furnish it, because not all condos are furnished. So, let's start. Right, let's say you've got 88,000 pesos to play with. Your condo is going to cost you, for a cheap one, you can get cheap ones. You can get cheap ones in Manila, not very nice, and you get cheap ones in Cebu, which are not too bad, but they're still not very nice, unfurnished. They usually belong to a corporation who's bought bankrupt condos, and they let them out to people. Now, you can get one for 15,000 peso, like I said. That'll bring you actual money that you've got left down to 73,000. Now, out of that, you've got to think about your food. Your food's going to cost you at least 16,000 pesos a month. At least, that's just for you. That brings you down to 57,000 pesos. Internet, you're going to want internet because you're going to watch, television and things like that. And I don't think you'll be getting on with watching Tagalog or Bisaya movies, because I can't understand them. And I think I'm a bit too old to learn. Yeah, I'm learning a little bit of the language, I'll admit that, and I enjoy it, but to learn the whole language will take years and years and years, because my learning curve has gone. You lose your learning curve when you're about 25 years old. Anyway, internet, 1,500, that'll bring you down to 55,500 pesos you've got left in your pocket. Your phone, 850, and you must maintain a landline at home. The reason I say this is because if you've got a bank account at home and you've got an online app and you want to take some money out, sometimes they'll send you a text message. Now, your landline at home is going to cost you at least £20 a month, which works out at 1,600 pesos. So that's going to bring you down to 53,050 peso. Going out, that's going to cost you at least 20,000 a month, because you want to go. You're going to want to go out, even if it's just for a walk. You're going to want to eat food out, or go to the cinema, or go out and buy something in the mall. You might need something little. That, like I say, that's going to be at least 20,000 pesos. You could even have a small trip to the islands on your own, right? And that'll bring you down to 33,050 peso. Now, if you get one of these condos and you're paying by the month, you don't get the electric and the water free. I'll guarantee you that. Some of them, they do absolute bargains. I mean, you get the internet and the water and the electric free, but not all of them, and I wouldn't bank on it. So I'd say you're going to pay at least 6,000 per month for your water and electricity. That's going to bring you down to 27,050 pesos. Now then, that's what you've got left. That's after living very, very frugally. You might want to have a girlfriend. Now, there's no chance for the money you've got left, you're going to get yourself a city girl. It's just not possible. She earns more than that just for going to work as a call centre or something. So I wouldn't even bother thinking about it. What you want is a girl from the province who's come out of poverty, and you can feed her. If she's got kids, I don't think you've got a hope in hell. Excuse me. Yeah, like I said, if she's got kids, you haven't got a hope in hell, because grids grow up, and when they get to teenagers, they eat a lot. I did. You probably did as well, you know, you got to remember that. Anyway, when you get a girlfriend, that's going to add another 8,000 on, because they say two can eat cheaper than one. But you've still got to put 16,000, and she'll be eating 50% of what you do. So that's going to be 24,000, and that'll bring your income down to 19,050. Now, out of that, you're going to have to buy clothes. You're going to have to buy sundries like soap, toilet roll, cleaning materials. You've got to keep your own condo clean. Once you've rented it for the month, they don't come and clean it for you. They don't change the bed sheets. You've got to do all that yourself. And then you've got to take into consideration your visa. Every 2 months, you've got to buy a new visa. You know, you can't get away from it, because if you do, you overstay and then you get thrown out of the country. You can never come back, so you've lost everything you've bought. And then every 3 years, you've got to take into consideration, you've got to leave the country, even if it's only for a day, just restart your visa process all over again. And then you can stay another 3 years. But this is just the way it goes. Now, the reason I say you've got to have money, at least 20,000 in the bank, is because when you come over here, if you do get yourself a condo that's unfurnished, you've got to buy yourself a bed, a TV, a refrigerator, chairs, table, sofa, plates, cutlery, you know, and it does add up. And I'd say it's going to cost you at least 10 grand for that, because you're going to want extra luxuries on top of that, which are for you only, you know. You might bring a Fire Stick across with you. That's why you'll need the internet, so you can watch movies and YouTube or whatever you do watch on television. Anyway, it's just a short one, you know, but I thought there's one thing I did forget to tell you. Medical. One day you'll get sick and you'll have to go home. Now, £10,000 that's left in your bank account, yeah, you can go to hospital on that. Some people are self-sufficient when it comes. I am. I pay for my own hospital bills, but can you afford to do that? I mean, if you get a broken leg, that'll cost you 15,000, about £1 million peso. So take that into consideration. You know, be very, very careful. So if I was you, I'd have a lot more money than 20,000. But I'm just trying to say it can be done. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I do hope you have a great time wherever you are, and I hope you have a safe day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye.